On the Bristol Metro bus this morning on route M3 out of the city, there were few complaints with this particular service.
Well, I've only ever used this M3, but it's good. It's a good service, yeah.
How often do you take the bus?
This is the first time I've ever taken this bus. Where I live, there aren't bus services really.
Which speaks perhaps to a wider picture of bus services in some areas in steep decline over recent decades. Since 2010, almost 300 million fewer miles have been driven by buses in England per year, said the government today. In opposition, Labour called it vandalism against communities.
I mean, I know, because it affected one of my friend's children, the local bus from Downend out to Winterbourne Academy has been stopped, and that is causing huge problems. Because you've now got, 11 and 12-year-olds that cannot get to school.
Louise Haigh, the Transport Minister in Peterborough today, is now talking of a bus revolution, as she puts it, for England.
Because in most areas of the country outside London, we've just sat back and allowed private companies to kind of pick and choose whatever routes they want for decades, and it's led to gradual fall in passenger numbers, and they're just too unreliable. What we are doing today is extending power to every area of England. So if they want to move to franchising and to building their own public transport networks, they will now have the power to do so.
Next stop, Hambrook.
Under a franchising scheme, overall control shifts to the local transport authority. So it's local government deciding bus routes, timetables and fares, and then operators bid to run those services for a fixed fee. Previously, only areas in England with metro mayors could take buses back into public control. Greater Manchester, the first place to do so outside London. The West of England's Metro Mayor is now apparently considering it, but has warned of huge resources required. And how many local authorities in the current economic climate could take on this financial risk?
We know local authorities across the country are facing really difficult times after year upon year of pressure on their budgets. We know there isn't going to be an overnight fix given the financial black hole that's been identified by the Chancellor. But the key thing is the powers are going to the local level, and they can start discussing with local bus operators about what can work in their areas based on the current funding formulas, and then look to the future if more investment becomes available.
The government is saying today that it wants to give councils more control over bus routes and the way bus services operate. Do you think that's a good thing?
Well, if they can afford to run it, yes. Because it's no good saying, yeah, we'll do it, and then 6 months later saying, oh, sorry, it's not viable, and cutting the service, because people are then committed and they're stuck.
The Tories accused Labour of unfunded plans which would make no difference to passengers. But it is different to the era of deregulation ushered in the 1980s. Across England, public control of the buses is now this government's new offer to local authorities, with measures to simplify the process due to be announced following a consultation.